Hello all. This is a video presentation of the study by Finn et al. 2012. The title of the research was The Emergence of Untrained Tax and Mans in Children with Autism. This presentation is jointly done by Harini Chandramouli and Jennifer Jordan. So, Skinner in his work Verbal Behavior described about how the verbal operands are functionally independent. Petrustotir et al. 2005 proved that training one operand results in producing the other operand untrained. The purpose of this research by Finn et al. Was to study the emergence of such untrained verbal operands while working on one trained operand. Petrustotir et al. Had the limitation of using a puzzle task because of which we had the visual clue of the missing pieces outline, and that resulted in loss of discrimination control by the researcher. Finn et al. 2012 eliminated this limitation by selecting tasks which had physical properties with more discriminative control. The experimental question that we are going to study here is what was the frequency of emergence of MANs with TACT training and the TACT with MAN training across structured tasks. The participants were 4 boys with the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. They were within the ages 6 to 9 and their intellectual age was between 1 to 3 years. The setting was a small windowless room or a classroom with table and chair and minimal distractions. 2 construction tasks were used with widgets and magnets, and the pieces were named with nonsense names so that it's unique and there is no learning history associated with them. And the participants were pre-trained on the construction task using backward chaining. So the dependent variable was the number of correct verbal responses in the MAND or TACT testing. So in the TACT, the piece was presented and the question was asked as what is it or what is its name. In the MAND, a particular piece was out of sight and the participant was asked to do the construction task with one piece missing, and the experimenter asked the question, what do you need? And we have to give the correct nonsense word. Autoclitics added where I need or it's a. So the data recorded was the correct, incorrect or prompted responses. Correct responses are accurate target responses. Incorrect is when they are not emitting a response within 20 seconds in testing or 5 seconds in training, or if any other form has been emitted before or within the 5 seconds of target response. Autoclitic frames were counted as correct responses. So to ensure the integrity of the data collection, inter-observer agreement was done by a second observer recording data for 46% of the sessions, and another observer was scoring the experimenter's behavior in 20% of the session. So the IOA was calculated between 88 to 100% and 99.6% respectively, which shows the treatment integrity. Multiple probe design was used across the task to study the effect of training of one verbal operand over the emission of the other. So the preference assessment was done with the help of multiple stimulus without replacement and token economy. So the pre-training was done with construction task 1 and construction task 2 with backward chaining. TACT training was the TACT pieces with made up names. So they will present a piece and ask what is its name, and the learner is supposed to respond to that with the nonsense name. The MAN training was put this together and there will be a missing piece and the participant would be stuck and the experiment would ask, what do you need? So if the participant gave accurate response, it was recorded, and whether or not an autoclitic frame was used was also recorded during the trials. I'm going to play this video of the experimental demonstration.
First, we're going to replicate TACT testing. What is this?
That is DAS.
What is this?
That is WIC.
What is this?
That is PES.
What is this?
That is KIG.
This is TACT testing for the construction. MAN testing for the first construction unit. Put that together. What do you need?
I need DAS.
Build this. What do you need?
I need wick.
Build this. What do you need?
I need pests.
As the procedure was demonstrated, we can see that the pieces were tacted by the learner initially, and then during the man testing, the researcher held out one of the pieces and asked, "What do you need?" And the learner was correctly able to man for it. So this is how derived relations are being used to teach new, like untrained operands with the learners. So by this, we can teach a lot more skills with less time. It also helps the learner to replicate their learning in the natural environment. These are the graphs of the learners. We can see how the post-testing, the trained operand has emerged pretty well, and there are also good chances, good percentage of untrained operand that got emerged after the training. So we can see Juan Stephen, and then in the next slide we can see Liam is an exception because he was not able to replicate manned after attack program, and also one other learner required a change in the stimuli in order to the discriminative stimuli in order to get the correct response. So the results are as follows. 3 of the 4 participants displayed functional interdependence or transfer between mans and tags. Liam was able to do only the function interdependence in the second construction task where the tags emerged after mans. For Huan, the tags emerged after the SD was modified. And for Liam, he did not show emergence of manned after tagged. He needed a few fewer manned prompts to show the emergence of manned. This study has demonstrated how untrained verbal operands would emerge when you are training verbal operands across similar tasks. And the previous study, the Petrusto-Dotir et al. Study, had the extraneous variable of visual cue of the puzzle outline that was eliminated in this task by using a construction task. The main limitation we had in the study was that the verbal stimulus could not be consistent. Sometimes the researcher would use a different verbal stimulus. So what is this and what is its name? That resulted in different responses across participants. So it's beneficial to provide pre-training to the technicians as well as training the learners pretty well during the pre-training session to ensure good instructional control. Thank you. References are in the slide. It's the Fenn et al. Study in 2012. Thank you all for listening to this presentation.